It's been said that life is a book, each chapter part of a journey. There are good chapters and bad. But in life, even in the bad times, we must keep reading. We must keep living. Most of us have a working script, an outline for ourselves, our children. In it, we plan for the best: births, first steps, trophies, and graduations. But in nonfiction, real life, our stories can't be charted out on a plot line in advance. Real life takes dramatic and unexpected turns.
He had a really bad headache on Tuesday, August 19th, and it was so bad, and we're talking about tough, strong Liam. He came to me in tears, just pressing on his head that he had a headache.
His neck hurt.
And his neck hurt.
This is not just normal. Like, there's something really wrong going on because he can't breathe. Like, now it's more than just his arm. It looks like he's not using his legs right.
The presentation, the evolution, the outcome is similar to what we see with polio.
A little boy contracts a rare illness that will test his family and have all of us asking, what would I do? I'm Gary Mativier. In a TV6 special tonight, a QCA family that had a storybook life that took a sudden turn, becoming more of a suspense, even a horror story. A chapter in life that will change them forever. A chapter in Liam's long journey home. You could call it a marriage made in heaven. Or more specifically, made in church.
We went to the same church. Actually, she was away at college and she came home for the weekend. And I was in the worship band.
They met at Sunday school.
We became friends for a little while, and
by some kind of miracle, she actually liked me.
They married, moved away from Rock Island, and started a family. Started living the American dream. Greg went to work as a pastor. Cindy had her hands full at home.
Brennan is our oldest. Brennan Brave is going to be 10 next month. And then Liam, and he turned 7 this past September. And then we also have Wallace is 3. He's our third son, and then we just had a daughter a year ago. Her name's Adley.
They moved back home from Colorado to start their own church and watch their children thrive.
I do have specific dreams and hopes for each one of them.
Oldest son Brennan had his sights set on the glitz and glamour of being a film director. So, of course, his little brother, his closest friend, had an obvious career choice.
Liam decided that he was going to be the star in all of his movies, and so Liam was always our very strong child.
Strong in both body and spirit. But that strength was about to be tested. The whole family was about to be tested by something that started so innocent enough. A cough was going around school. Liam came home running a low-grade fever. He had wanted to play catch with his dad that day, but baseball would have to wait. He woke up the next day even worse.
He had a really bad headache on Tuesday, August 19th, and it was so bad, and we're talking about tough, strong Liam. He came to me in tears, just pressing on his head that he had a headache.
His neck hurt.
And his neck hurt.
Doctors ran some tests, making sure he didn't have something like meningitis. They treated him for pneumonia and sent him home with breathing treatments. Another night, another day, and no improvement. In fact, Liam's energy was fading. His throwing arm was weak. Greg thought maybe, just maybe, he had a pinched nerve.
Everything came back perfectly normal. They just figured that his arm wasn't moving because he was fatigued.
His breathing was getting worse, his muscles losing control. They rushed back to the doctor, who sent them to the ER.
When we were walking into the hospital with him, we were holding one hand each. And there was a moment where he tripped, and we were holding his hands, and he made no attempt to keep himself up.
He didn't have the strength to even catch himself.
But walking was the least of his problems. As healthcare workers ran tests and tried to figure out what was wrong, Liam took a dangerous turn.
Suddenly he said, I can't breathe. And so, of course, I'm protective dad. I'm like, there's something wrong. This is not just normal. Like, there's something really wrong going on.
Faced with so many questions, so many fears, but the answers just weren't coming. Running out of options, the family was rushed here to Peoria. Could the doctors here make a diagnosis? Could they give the Hamptons hope? Up next, a team of experts move in, but Liam just keeps getting worse.
It is frustrating to see a child who, in a matter of a couple of days, get paralyzed.
And for the family, fears and frustration.
I can't change anything. I can't. You're obviously brilliant doctors, and you're going to do a great job. I know you are, but it's not making it change any quicker. And I don't see anything happening. And you're doing everything you can, but you don't know what it is.
The fight to save a little boy's life as Liam's long journey home continues. What started as a low-grade fever has turned into something much worse. Medevac to Peoria, the race was now on to try to save Liam's life. A team of medical experts swarmed in. Despite their efforts, Liam's breathing nearly stopped. Doctors intubated him. A ventilator would have to breathe for him.
For me, it was really the only moment where I was like, we might lose him.
The room full of people emptied in seconds as Liam was rushed to another room. Cindy was left standing there alone.
Because they're in such a hurry, I mean, they're just tearing things open and throwing the garbage on the floor. And I mean, they are doing their job, and they're saving your child's life is what they're doing. And they had all left, and I looked around, and there was, IV papers and tubes on the floor, and medical caps, and things that the stuff had been in, and I was the only one there. And it really felt like you were just in the aftermath of a horrible storm that had gone through.
For Greg, fear, frustration, and anger.
I can't change anything. I can't. You're obviously brilliant doctors, and you're going to do a great job. I know you are, but it's not making it change any quicker. And I don't see anything happening. And you're doing everything you can, but you don't know what it is.
Could the pastor's faith get him through this?
I believe in God. But that does not mean that I understand everything about Him. Does not mean, pardon me. Doesn't mean I know everything about Him. It doesn't mean that I understand everything about the world. It doesn't mean that I understand why He allows certain things to happen.
The doctors were frustrated too.
Frustrated to see a child who, in a matter of a couple of days, get paralyzed.
The pediatric neurologist could see what was happening. His spine was swelling. But why? Could they stop it? And even if they did, would the damage be reversible?
The presentation, the evolution, the outcome is similar to what we see with polio. This is what we call a non-polio viral infection, or enterovirus.
Enterovirus, a virus causing mysterious paralysis in 23 children in California. Then a cluster of 9 in less than 2 months in Colorado. Colorado, where the Hampton family had lived and recently visited. While Liam stabilized in the ICU, reality started to set in.
The neurologist just came in and said that they believe that it's paralyzation, and that based on other things that they've seen like this, that he might be lucky to use his hands.
Yeah.
I walked around downtown Rock Island lost, just walking aimlessly. I had no idea what to do. I just came home and I sat down with Brennan. And I had to tell him, I said, hey man, it looks like Liam, they're saying that some of this stuff might be permanent. And I just sat on the couch and just cried with my firstborn.
Brennan wanted just one thing.
I really missed him. I was crying every night.
He wanted Liam to come home.
I really, really missed him.
Days turned into weeks, weeks into months away from home. Those 83 days in Peoria, followed by more than 110 days in a rehab facility in Chicago. Improvement was slow, but he was improving.
What's your middle name? Can you say
First, he would have to learn to talk again.
yes? That's good for you to keep Liam.
And after weeks of work, hard, painful work,
Liam, what are we attempting?
Trying to walk myself.
Greg begged the therapist to let him try just a couple steps on his own.
One.
You just let him go. And you're right there. The parallel bars are there. There's plenty of things that can help him not fall down. And so I just turned the camera on and I said, let's go.
6.
The boy, who only weeks earlier couldn't even pull himself up, was now taking his first steps again.
10. 11.
Liam could go home.
Cry tears of joy. Really, really happy, jumping, staying on my toes. I was spinning around like crazy.
And what about those dreams Mom had for her son?
He wanted a baseball room.
But could he get up to his new room? Could he get back some of the life he has missed? They would have to take things one day, one step at a time. Still to come. Liam goes home and begins a new battle to get back some of what he has lost.
One thing we were going to work on is being able to play catch, throwing and catching a ball. That was one of Dad's goals to do with him and Liam.
But doctors caution some things may not be possible as Liam's long journey home continues. A rare illness, so rare it's only affected about 100 children in the entire U.S., but with serious symptoms, from rapid paralysis to death. After months of being in the hospital in Peoria, then rehab in Chicago, Liam is settling in at home, ready for a new opponent in a familiar game.
Bored of playing the same game with the same person because I knew what they were going to do.
He got you again.
I don't let him win. I'm trying. Everyone tries as hard as they can to beat him. Nobody can beat him.
Connect 4 is one of the games that has been a huge part of Liam's therapy, but it's much more than just a game. It's a mental and physical challenge.
I'm the champion of Connect 4.
The boy with dreams of playing professional baseball someday struggles to get a piece in place, knowing, though, that this skill can lead to others.
I scored. I'm going to take you down.
Liam's whole family is helping the determined young man play again and to make up for lost time and lost holidays.
Happy birthday to you.
We'd been telling him for a long time, Liam, when you come home, we're going to throw a huge party and we're going to redo every holiday that you missed. We're going to do it just for you all over again so we can do it together.
A full week of celebrating all of the holidays Liam missed at home. Brennan questioned what neighbors would think of trick-or-treating in March.
That they would think, they're crazy. They're crazy.
Instead, neighbors joined in for all the holidays.
People got their house all Halloween-y or Christmassy or stuff. They just got ready.
How'd that make you feel?
Happy.
Why?
Because they knew that we were gonna do it and that they were caring for us.
Ready? Pull. Good job. Good job. That was a good.
But Liam's life is filled with much more than just playing games and celebrating holidays.
That was hard work.
Awesome.
For hours every day, he is fighting to get back what he can.
He's come this far because of his determination. And
Go, Liam. Good job.
Awesome.
Wow.
Giving it everything he has to prove the experts wrong, pushing through the pain, the fears, the tears,
You're doing great.
Ready?
with hopes that one day
one thing we were going to work on is being able to play catch, throwing and catching a ball. That was one of Dad's goals to do with him and Liam. So that's one of our big goals.
Turn your head to the left and push me away.
could that be possible for a boy who, last time his neurologist saw him here in Peoria,
Yeah, it's better that side.
couldn't even hold himself up?
His facial muscles are intact. For me, it's very rewarding to see him being able to walk and using his hands. And well, there have been some partial recovery, and still he has some room for make further improvement.
But how much improvement can they hope for?
We thought we would show you something that Liam is doing here. You see his arm?
Then, weeks later, another big breakthrough.
He's holding his arm up.
I'm crazy.
That is the arm that was completely paralyzed.
And then, there is this. Playing catch with Dad and a real pro baseball player in front of the hometown crowd.
Awesome.
What else? What was the best part?
The entire thing.
Really proud of him. I can't believe everything that he's been able to do.
This seemingly perfect moment, storybook ending. But of course, in real life, it isn't so easy. When we come back,
I kept trying to look for ways to get him back in the building because he had some anxiety about coming back to school, and he wasn't sure that that was what he wanted to do.
could the boy who has overcome so much physical pain find the emotional strength to go back to school? The last time Liam Hampton walked the halls of Dankman Elementary School, he had full use of his arms and his legs. And now, with just a few days left in the school year, his mother had another challenge, another goal, to get Liam back to class.
I kept trying to look for ways to get him back in the building because he had some anxiety about coming back to school, and he wasn't sure that that was what he wanted to do.
So Cindy Hampton came up with a plan. She would visit room number 9 when the students were not in class.
We came into the room and he saw that he still had a desk and he still had his name on his desk. And that was really surprising for him because he had said before, you know, I'm not a part of that class anymore. I'm not in the first grade at Dankman. I don't go there. And so for him to come and see, no, you still have a desk. It still has your name on it. You're still a part of this classroom was so cool for him. You could just see it on his face, like a realization of, wow, I am still a part of this community, you know?
So much apart, even his teacher, Jessica Bowman, made the trip to Peoria to check on him.
And they kept telling me that he might not make it out of his bed, or he'd be, you know, in a wheelchair for the rest of his life, and, you know, all this stuff. And he just kept making these huge milestones.
And then another milestone reached as Liam went back to school.
Excited today is having Liam back. It's so great to have him back here at school.
Honored for his leadership in an all-school assembly, and then into classroom number 9. First, learning how to navigate his wheelchair around the desk, then answering questions, honest, straightforward questions from his curious classmates.
What's this? What's that? They had no idea what was on me or what was on the wheelchair or whatever.
The sharing, caring, changed on the outside, but the same Liam, the same determined young man on the inside.
Just today they were talking about how he needed to gain some weight, or he in the next 13 weeks, or he'd have to have a G-tube put back in, and he said, that's not going to happen. I'm not going to let that happen. And for a 7-year-old to be that strong, it just is like just so powerful, I think. I mean, I think we can learn a lot from him, that, you know, just because someone tells you you can't do something doesn't mean that's going to happen.
An attitude that has helped his entire family as they work their way through this. Remember, they moved back home to start their own church from the ground up. It's called The House, and it is their sole means of support. But just as the church started, Greg had to be with his family, the only choice he could make. But his church members had a choice too. Would they keep coming?
The strong majority of people that go to our church did not know me before we moved back here. So they had very little or no reason to support us, to continue to come to a church that literally the church that we started was 7 months old when all this happened, and then suddenly I'm not even in town for 4 out of 7 days a week. And yet they continue to come. They continue to pray for us. They continue to bring meals for us. And it was amazing to see how quickly strangers can become family.
Families like the Olsons, They have a daughter the same age as Liam, going to the same school, wondering, as most parents must admit to doing, what if this was us?
It's a little too easy sometimes just to think, oh my gosh, could this, what if this happened to us? And to be really understanding of, wow, this has to be completely life-altering.
The Janula's family kept coming too.
Scary. It's, it's shocking.
This is probably one of the most read chapters of the Psalms that there is. So Psalm 1.
Together they all prayed.
Blessed is the one who does not walk
and pray
or stand in the way that sinners take.
Before deciding that praying enough might not be enough.
Light is in the law of the Lord.
The Hamptons' personal bills were piling up, and they were having issues with their rental home, making even the most basic task difficult.
The goal is $30,000 to get a down payment so that they can get their own house, and it doesn't take 4 hours to fill a bathtub.
And the money has been coming in, from online donations for a down payment on a home to anonymous checks in the mail from complete strangers.
I'm surprised by the scale. I mean, we have some East Coast, some West Coast. It's not just local, so there's been some people coming in from all over the country.
People who have been following their story, chapter by chapter, through the toughest of times. To the moments that have us rooting for each word.
Say hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
Say I love you.
Love you.
Each step.
Here we go, Liam.
Good.
Very good. Now lean onto that leg and swing the other one.
And each monumental moment. The Hamptons hope the adventure story becomes a little less dramatic, fewer plot twists and turns, with a storyline that is more normal.
Before he was in the hospital, he was actually happy for most of it. He wanted to be my butler. And I gave him like a little black vest. It was funny.
So typical older brother.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're gonna, at some point, get him to do some of those things for you again?
Yeah. Well, or I'm gonna do it for him.
And what about one of the original goals this family set for themselves long before any of this happened?
I would say to the boys, the very end, hey, someday, us boys, we're going to climb that mountain together. And there was a moment when this started happening, I started thinking, oh man, are we going to do that? It's like a promise. It's been like this epic thing I've been building up. Someday we're going to climb this mountain. And there was this moment where I just decided that Liam's going to have an amazing life. We're going to climb that mountain.
Climbing a real mountain should be a walk in the park for a family that has been through so many peaks and valleys and have emerged with more character than you will find in any book. We have put together a behind-the-scenes look at Liam's story on KWQC.com, including an extended interview with his doctor about what parents should look for in your children. I'm Gary Mativier for KWQC. Thanks for watching, and good night.